So I hear a lot of founders with different plans. And when I ask them, okay, guys, what's your revenue model for your project? Most of them, they don't have an answer. So that's a big issue. Why? Because they're basically relying on their token to be the revenue model, the revenue stream, which doesn't work most of the time. So you need to have like a business, and then your token is like a secondary kind of monetization model that you can use, but not the primary. Because if your token price action is bad, basically goes, your company will die. So we usually tell them, guys, if you don't have a revenue model, you will eventually die, right? As a company.
Welcome back to Grow and Learn. Today I'm speaking to Maximiliano Stochyk about DeFi projects and other Web3 projects that are being listed as venture projects on CoinTerminal, which is the company he's running. This is a venture capital studio platform.
I'd say it's more of a launchpad where we help projects. It depends. It could be projects that are super early. It can be projects that are ready for TG, which basically means they're ready to go to market. And what we do is we help them fundraise, we help them with exposure. But the main difference is that we help them fundraise through our community. So we have a community of 600K users, 600,000 users registered that are ready to invest. These are retail investors. And basically, projects that want exposure, they have as I said, two ways through the fundraising and also through the marketing and the community that will come funneled into their own projects, right? So that's the main difference versus going to a VC or to like a normal venture capitalist that you're just getting investment from a company, for example. Here you're getting investment from a huge community. That's the main difference. And the ticket size, of course, is going to be much smaller than traditional VCs. And we have a couple of features that are pretty unique for the user compared to traditional investment opportunities. But basically, when projects come to us, they want a solution that to make sure they launch correctly, right? Because we as a launchpad on crypto, we know what usually works and what doesn't, right? So when they come to us, they tell us, okay, we're going to be doing this, and that. Is that correct? And we tell them, maybe, no, that's not correct. Why? Because we have insight from more than 80 projects that we launched, right, in the last couple of years. So that's the main advantage, the advantage they have when it comes to working with a launchpad, right, with a crypto launchpad.
Yeah. Maximiliano, let's start from the very beginning, I would suggest. Can you tell us how this whole company started, CoinTerminal? Tell us a little bit about it. Where is it based? How did you start and how did it evolve to what it's currently doing?
Yeah, sure. So basically, I'm the head of sales at CoinTerminal. So I'm also running operations. So everything that comes in terms of like projects coming and launching, they usually go through me. The company is based in Dubai. Most of the management team come from other launchpads, so they have a lot of experience launching projects since 2020, 2019. So a lot of experience like previous to CoinTerminal. CoinTerminal was basically launched in 2023, late 2023, and it was launched with like seeing what were the problems with previous launchpads, right? So this could be anything from doing non-refundable sales, switching to refundable sales. So what does refundable sales means for a user perspective? So the user have 24 hours, depending on most of the deals, to decide if they want to keep a token that they invest on or get a refund on their investment, right? So for the user, we're making it risk-free to invest on projects. And what we're also bringing to the table compared to other launchpads in the Web3 space is basically you don't need to have a token to get into the sales. There's no staking requirement. So let me give you some context.
Yeah.
In terms of other launchpads, when you want to invest on a token, you need to buy their token first. So they have a token on the market and you need to buy their token. You need to stake it, which means basically lock it to you lock the tokens. So you need to lock like a certain amount of money of USD, which basically means locking your liquidity, which is not good because just to get access to the sale or to the token you want to buy. In our case, we're open access. We don't have a token, so there's no CoinTerminal token, right? So anyone can come and they can buy their favorite like pre-sale project that is going to go live, right? That's the main USP that we have compared to other launchpads. So we don't want to gatekeep projects like all other launchpads. We want to make it open access so that anyone can come and they can buy their favorite token. And we don't. Why that's good? Because we're not locking liquidity from the users, right? The users, sometimes they have a lot of money, sometimes they don't have a lot of money. If we lock thousands of dollars of our own token just to get the project token that is working with us, it doesn't make sense. So projects usually like this a lot, right? Because we basically funnel the users directly into their token instead of our token. So that's a really, really big difference. So we launched this from the beginning as open access. We never planned a token. We said, okay, this is going to be the structure. Same with the refundable like model. A lot of launchpads these days in Web3 and crypto, they're doing it the same, like they're doing refundable sales. And of course, for projects, this means they're able to raise much more money by going refundable. Why? Because it's risk-free for the user, right? It's like you can come, you can contribute some money, and basically, if the token, when it goes to market, doesn't do well, you can get a refund on your investment. So for you as a user, it's risk-free. For the project, of course, it's not risk-free because they have to make sure their token will do well on the markets, right? So they have to work with us. They have to work with all the parties involved to make sure their token does well. So it's more kind of like a performance based model for them, right? If not, they can get, of course, they will get refunds if they don't do well. But for us, it's important to also maintain our reputation as a launchpad because we have an average ROI that we want to keep high, right? If that's if we do non-refundables and the project doesn't do well, okay, who's going to be suffering from reputation standpoint? The launchpad, because the user will come and say, oh no, but you launch a project, it didn't do well, we're losing money. You get the point? Like with refundables, the user has the option to say, oh no, I don't like the price action of the token, I want a refund. Okay, fair enough. Oh, I like how this project launched. I want to claim the tokens. I want to trade them on the secondary market. Go ahead. Like they choose. They get
Mm-hmm. Maximiliano, we are going a little bit in specifics here. Let's widen a bit the scope for the audience and to understand, to help them understand the entire tokenization ecosphere so that they know what we're talking about. Can you give us a few examples, or at least one example, of the type of token and what its utilities, if there's utility at all? What kind of token is a typical type of project that would come to your launchpad to CoinTerminal?
Okay, so let's say there's a DeFi platform, right? And they're making money with fees. So basically, they have let's say it's a DEX, right? So a decentralized exchange. Basically, they make money from fees, right? From the user fees. When you trade a token, they make money. Usually, when projects are launching a token, they do it. There's a couple of reasons why they will launch a token, right? So the first one is, of course, it's kind of like it's how the stock market works. The valuation goes up, and their company is worth more at the end of the day, right? If the token does well, because there's different ways that usually projects monetize through the token. Then you have the governance, so they could have governance with their token, basically allowing users to decide on what's the future of a project, right? Through the holders of this governance token. It could be there's like a lot of utilities that they could have, but I'd say most of the time it's going to be. I'll give you an example. There's platforms that they give discounts to token holders, for example, on the fees. Okay, they pay less fees. They get a revenue share, for example. They get, let's say, the company has X amount of revenue. Holders get revenue share from the total revenue of the company. There's like a lot of utilities, and even though I'd say most of the time the projects that are doing best are not like there's a lot of projects that have great utility, great tech, right? But in my opinion, they don't do as well as the ones that have a good product or decent product, but really good marketing. Because at the end of the day, they need to market this token to retail, right? They're not like, sometimes retail, they don't care on what they're building, but what they can generate in terms of hype, right, on the markets, right? It's much different to Web2. That's what we find. So when we're talking to projects, we ask them, okay, who are your KOLs slash influencers? Okay, who's going to be promoting the launch of your token, basically, right? Because you need to have distribution. And then we ask them, okay, what exchange are you going to be listing on? Why? Because they need volume, right? They need volume from retail to basically have buying pressure. But I'd say the utility, it depends on the project itself. Sometimes a lot of projects, they don't have good utilities on the token, but they do have really good marketing, so they do well, right? And as I said, sometimes they have no utility, but great marketing, and you see 100x come. So it's a bit tricky to say, okay, this is how but I think it all comes to how well you can market the token at the end of the day. Yeah.
Okay, so in simple terms, what do you do at CoinTerminal once a client comes to you? Do you tokenize them and you offer them to other platforms or something else?
So when clients come to us, they're usually already tokenized. So they have a plan to launch their token. So we don't usually do the tech side of things, but we're slowly starting to help some projects on the tech side of things, because we do find that a lot of projects have issues, right, when it comes to launching a smart contract. This is something yeah, so it depends, but most of the times they come with everything ready. So they come with their token ready to launch, with some money they raised on previous rounds. This could be private rounds from VCs, because they need to have some money to launch, right? It's not that when they do a public round, it's more about public round is basically when you have like a Launchpad promote your token launch. Basically, it's a public round. So when they're ready for public round, basically they're looking, as I said, for exposure and to raise those extra funds they need post TG. Post TG basically means post listing, right? Once they go in the secondary markets, they have some extra cash to pay for other stuff that they need for marketing. But usually when projects come to us again, they are, I'd say, 60-70% ready to launch. Of course, we have cases where they're not ready to launch. Like they're more like a kind of like we need to incubate them, right? So it's they're more much early, but these are not like our main persona that we're going after is a project that is ready to launch, because it means that they need less work in terms of like switching narratives, switching some. But we usually try to be really hands-on with projects. Why? Because we think that if we are hands-on with the projects, they can do better, right? And if they do better, our average ROI as a Launchpad it's higher, right? We want everyone launching with us to have to succeed, basically, right? Because that's how we keep our community happy. That's how we make more revenue at the end of the day. It's like a incentive for everyone. So we
So
try to
what does
help.
launching with you mean practically? What does that mean?
It's basically like a kind of like a bridge between you launching and then basically it's a bridge. Like it's basically we give you every tool you need to launch successfully, right? So most of the times that what you need is money. We have the community that can bring this liquidity into your project, right? So by having 600K users and 2.2 billion in connected assets, so every user connects their wallet, right, to our platform, and we have 2.2 billion in connected assets. So this means there's like enough liquidity to fund any project that comes to CoinTerminal. What it means for projects is basically having a team of people with many years of experience at their disposal that they can basically ask for advice. They can, we do the fundraising for them. We help them connect with exchanges if they need connections with to launch. There's a lot of things. It depends on the project itself on what it means, right? Because for some projects, it will mean, oh, it's a marketing campaign that we just want exposure and we want some funds. Oh, for some teams, it will mean basically we want CoinTerminal to handle a lot of things, not only so they ask us for advice, they ask us for of course the fundraising campaign is part of our main product. So It's something we do with every project we're working with. We are doing a fundraising campaign. But how deep we go on with the specific project, it will depend on the team itself, right? So I cannot say what it means for a project itself, because this will depend on what they're looking to achieve. But most of the time it's going to be fundraising, exposure / marketing, right? Because when a project is launching with us, they get exposure on our X account, right? We have more than 200,000 followers. They get a lot of exposure to our newsletter, also to our KOLs. So most of the time it's going to be exposure. Like that's why projects that they're doing the fundraising through the public ground, they're doing 1 or 2 or even 3 launchpads most of the times. Some of them they want to go with 5 or 6. We don't recommend. We usually recommend 2 or 3 maximum, right? Because yes, sometimes it's about the quality and not the quantity of the launchpads. Yeah.
So once they fundraise from within your community, they can then be offered these tokens onto other exchanges. So, okay.
Yeah. So how it works is we receive the tokens from the projects that are going to be sold on our platform, on our Launchpad app, right? So once they launch, once they have the TGE, once they list basically on an exchange, our users can claim these tokens, right? So the tokens they buy through our platform, they can claim them, and then they can do whatever they want on the secondary markets. They could go to an exchange, they can trade the tokens they bought, they can claim, they can get a refund if they want on the first 24 hours, as I said. So they have different options, but it's always about the user at the end of the day and making sure the project will succeed. Those are like the 2 big elements, because we have a balance. We need to balance, okay, our users, which are basically the key to funding all these projects that come to us, right? And of course the project, making sure they get the value out of our launchpad, right? So it's the 2 things. A lot of launchpads, as I said, they don't care too much about the user, right? They just go, okay, they launch projects and maybe they're non-refundables and they don't do well. So that's why we're trying to do all of our sales refundable these days, because we think users, if they have the option, it's a no-brainer, right? Because it's you can claim, you can refund. It's and for the project, as I said, they're able to raise 10x more than going with a non-refundable model, right? So that's the big something we're trying to push a lot. Like, okay, it's like refundable. You can choose, and of course, one of the biggest issues in crypto is like you have users, but also retaining the users, right? You can, like, acquiring users is not as hard, but the hardest part, in my opinion, is basically retaining those users, right? So the user retention. So that's something we're working on. By being a refundable launchpad, we're able to retain users much easier, because users know that they always have new opportunities to invest on. Because we have in a good month, we can have 10 sales at even more. Right now the markets are doing much better than a couple of months ago. So BTC, BNB, they're all hitting all-time highs. So that's a pretty good sign for the market. Of course, all the money has to then funnel into the altcoins, which are like the smaller tokens that come out of the market. So it's about, right now everything is going to the bigger, but eventually they will start flowing into the altcoins. That's how usually the cycles work. Yeah.
How many projects have you listed so far through?
More than 80 at the moment. I don't have the exact number here, but yeah, usually, as I said, we're running 5 to 10 sales every month. Some months can be a bit slower because we have a lot of projects in the pipeline that are looking for the best time to launch, right? So maybe the best time to launch is now in Q4, for example, right? Which we think is going to be pretty good. Of course, we're not like financial advisors. We don't give, like, when they come to us and they tell us, oh, when do we tell them, okay, like, this is something you need to decide. But of course, we give some recommendations, right? Okay, if the market is going well, you can try to launch now, but we cannot predict the markets, right? Like, that's something really hard, because, as you know, today we can be an all-time high, but tomorrow we can be dropping. Like, that's how the crypto markets work. That they're pretty volatile, at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm. What is your opinion on the statements that the majority of all of these coins will be worthless, at a certain point in time? Maybe they would be rendered out of regulation, or maybe because of the market they would be zeroed down. What is your opinion on the future of all of these coins?
So no. So I do think in terms of like the tokens launching, there's too many tokens launching. That's something we agree on. The best companies in Web3 are the ones that have a business model from day one, right? So a lot of companies in Web3, they launch and they don't know how they're going to be sustaining themselves, right? So we find, like myself, I have 60, 70 calls every month with founders. My team has more, but myself personally, I do at least 60 calls a month. So I hear a lot of founders with different plans. And when I ask them, okay, guys, what's your revenue model for your project? Most of them, they don't have an answer. So that's a big issue. Why? Because they're basically relying on their token to be the revenue model, the revenue stream, which doesn't work most of the time. You need to have like a business, and then your token is like a secondary kind of monetization model that you can use, but not the primary. Because if your token price action is bad, basically goes, your company will die. So we usually tell them, guys, if you don't have a revenue model, you will eventually die, right? As a company. And this is something you have been asking. Okay, so what do you think about it? It's a big problem. I do think there's like the best, as I said, the main difference that good projects have from bad projects is the good ones have revenue, and the ones that have revenue, they can survive. The ones that don't have
So,
revenue,
so you
they
you
won't.
mean the ones having utility, not necessarily revenue, but
Utility and utilities, it could be the token utility, of course, but also revenue as a company. Because let's say there's like a SaaS company launching a token and they have revenue from clients, like paying every month. They're launching a token because they want to give utility to a token. It could be governance, it could be the token will not be the main revenue source because they already have clients paying every month for their tool, for their product, right? So those are the best companies that can, and we see a lot of Web2 companies trying to tokenize their project these days. And this is great because they have revenue from Web2. They're trying to go to Web3, and these are the best companies, like in my opinion. Because one, they have more money to launch, right? They can launch, they have money, they understand economics, not right? Like a lot of Web3 founders, maybe they launch, they say, no, we want to do, but it's really hard to survive without money. That's just like, it's really hard. Like Web3 crypto is like, everything is not expensive, but you need to invest. Like a listing is minimum $50,000, $60,000, just one listing on an exchange. That's not a good, like, I wouldn't say bad, like just like a normal exchange, it will be $50,000, $60,000. If you want like a tier two, something like more, it will be 200 to 3,000 to 200 to 300K, so 300,000 USD for just one listing, right? So projects usually spend millions on listings, right? So they need like a lot of money just to go to exchanges and get.
Are projects able to raise this initial required capital from CoinTerminal?
So usually when they're racing with us, we do 500K. That's the average we have at the moment, to 750, even 1 million. We have 1 million rounds coming out soon. Most of the times, for projects to be able to list on these exchanges, they have to raise before coming to us. Why? Because we pay out after TGE. So we don't pay out the projects before TGE, meaning that to have a listing ready for list, like for your TGE date, you have to pay them before. So usually projects will have to raise this money.
What is Sorry, I missed this.
TGE is the token generation event. So
TGE.
basically, the TGE, okay, the token generation event could be when you deploy your contract, but in most of the industry, we call TGE as kind of the listing date, right? So when are you going to be live on secondary markets, like, right? On exchanges, on DEXs, etc. So that's we pay them after the basically the listing date. So usually projects that the best projects will come to us and they will already have some money raised. It could be anything from 300 to 1 million to even a couple of millions. And then they will pay for exchanges, they will pay for everything themselves. and they will use the funds they raise with us for their treasury, for whatever they want after the listing. Yeah.
And in terms of geography, you're based in Dubai. Does it matter where the companies are listed in terms of legal jurisdiction, KYC, AML, and such regulations?
Yeah. Yeah, so every project that works with us, they go through a KYB. Of course, the KYB is managed by the legal department. This is not something I manage, but what I can say is that, of course, we're not working with companies on restricted countries or with kind of like any restriction. So we have like a couple of countries that we cannot accept, right? When they're, even if they have like it comes, if the founder is from a specific country, we can probably of like restricting countries, we can probably not accept them. If the company is on a
Yeah,
restricted
which
country,
countries are restricted? I'm not aware. Which countries are currently
it's basically the restrictions from the OFAC and stuff. I cannot say from, but yeah, the restricted countries, right? So that's a list that everyone has access to. In terms of the companies, it doesn't matter. Like you can probably have a company almost everywhere, and but that's something, as I said, it's managed by the legal department. We do a KYB because we want to know that the company is legit, the founder is legit, and of course there's like AML, basically compliance that we need to follow as a company. So it doesn't matter mostly where you are, but most of the Web3 companies, they have certain jurisdictions that they use for token issuing. So that's the usual case. But sometimes we do have like they need to have all the documents ready for the KYB. And as I said, I cannot say specific. There's like different cases. We have cases that they have companies on one jurisdiction, but the founders are from another jurisdiction, and then they have another direct. So there's like different, depending on the project, right? Every project manages it like the company, but they do have to follow a KYB. And for the users investing, they have a KYC also. So everyone has, the company that is launching has a KYB, which is pretty strict. And then there's like KYC for every user. So every user investing at CoinTerminal is KYC, basically. Right? There's no like anonymous users or whatever, like they need to have, because of course we have to be compliant. That's the main reason. Yeah.
What is your expectation? You kind of alluded on the Q4 expected increase on the market, with no financial advice here, but what is your expectation on the coming months and maybe the coming years of development of this market? I know it's difficult to predict long term.
Yeah, so I do think the like Web3 crypto is here to stay. As I said, like most of the money right now is flowing into the bigger tokens or coins like Bitcoin, Ethereum, BNB. If you go to CoinGecko or CoinMarketCap, you will see like most of the like they're having like really big BNB chain is now at trading at $1,200, which is huge. It was like trading minus 1,000 a couple of days ago. Ethereum is also like trading like BTC at all-time high. So I don't think crypto or like Bitcoin or it's going anywhere. Like a lot of people, when they hate on cryptocurrencies, they say, oh no, Bitcoin is going to die, Ethereum is going to die. They're not dying. Like that's the future of money. Like if you think in terms of like the future it's about making transactions fast, and this technology allows it. Like it gives you freedom to do whatever you want with your money at the end of the day, right? Like if you have to rely on banking institutions or like traditional finance, you can always have some kind of issues. Like I'm talking about, oh, you want to transfer money abroad, you have to pay $50. Here you can, like in Web3 and crypto, you can transfer money abroad, pay a couple of cents, and in 10 seconds the other party has the money, right? Of
Yeah, but
course
you have
there's
a handful of companies servicing this need. What are the other millions of companies offering tokens doing? It's just a token.
Yeah, no, for the
Yeah.
token side of things, I do agree there's like too many tokens, right? So it's like a lot of tokens are not needed, right? That's something we when I talk to a break, I tell them, okay, what will your token, like what are you building? Like these are the questions, like what are you building? Why are you building it? And what is your token going to do that is going to solve some of the issues that your user has or your future user will have? Most of the times they don't know how to answer this question, right? So you get the point. So most of the times the token will just be there. We prefer projects that have some kind of like good utility for the token, or at least good marketing. As I said, good marketing means people will just buying the token because of the company behind it, right? The company has like a good product, good user base, good traction. So they're more, the hype comes more from the product perspective than the token utility perspective, right? And then you have memes. You have memes that do 100x and they don't do anything. So it depends. Like this market is pretty crazy, like, and why do all these memes do pretty well in the market? We don't launch memes, to be honest, but if you go to, like, you probably saw the news and there's like a lot of you had Dogecoin, for example, in the past, just a doc, that's it, like, and it had hundreds of billions of of volume, and so like from the user, it doesn't make sense, right? Because it doesn't do anything. It's just like a fun meme, and
As far as I'm hearing, the NFTs market is going down since 2023. There was a hype,
yeah.
now it's
Yeah, the NFT market, and like I've never been super involved with the NFTs myself personally, so I cannot say too much about it, but it basically had a run, like a big cycle, back in 21, 22. Then it started dying. Like basically, yeah, right now I think it's like most of the good, like if you have the blue chips NFTs, right? Like the collections that did pretty well, they're still doing pretty decent. But most of the smaller collections, they just died. Like they're not trading for anything, right? At the end of the day. So I do think NFTs are like something of the past in terms of like in terms of hype, right? They lost their hype, but I do see a lot of tech, like a lot of companies using NFTs as technology. I'm going to give you an example. So let's say there's this travel company. I'm not going to say the name, but they have basically plane tickets that are NFTs. So what does it mean? You can transfer your plane ticket to another person through an NFT, through the NFT technology, right? This is great because most of the airline companies, when you want to transfer, you cannot do it. Like you cannot even change your name, right? So this will allow freedom on in terms of, okay, you have a ticket to go, let's say from your country, you're traveling to, let's say Spain, and you don't want to use it. Okay, you can transfer it to me. You bought the ticket. It makes sense at the end of the day, right? Like you can do
yeah.
whatever you
I've
want with your
actually heard
ticket.
about this recently. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that's a good use case for the NFT technology, right? At the end of the day, like pretty,
Yeah.
and a couple of like airline companies, they're adopting this model, right? Instead of you calling and basically, oh yeah, I want to change my ticket, and you have to pay $500 and maybe you you pay for it. It doesn't make sense, right? So um,
But
this
when
is
you were
a.
talking about memes,
Mhm,
aren't
mhm.
these NFTs as well?
No, memes are basically tokens
Mm-hmm.
that someone launches. Like it depends. It could be a team, it could be anonymous, it could be like someone known, it could be, and basically they launch it through a like internet meme. So it could be a funny image, it could be a funny something that became a trend, and basically that's a meme. That meme coin. It doesn't do anything. It's just fun, and
Uh-huh.
people trade it because it's fun. That's it, and it has like a lot of it goes viral. That's so it's usually a token. Yeah. Not an NFT.
Okay. I
Yeah,
see. Okay, well, great, Maximiliano. Anything else that you would like to share? Who are the best people to contact you right now? Who would fit you kind of described them already, but if you can give an overview as a wrap up, who should contact you and where?
sure. So any project that is going to launch on an exchange, on a DEX pretty soon, they can get in touch with us. We can help them, as I said, with exposure, with fundraising on public ground, getting more traction for their products, and of course for the token. They can contact us through CoinTerminal.com. They can go to CoinTerminal.com. We have an apply form that they need to fill out. Then basically a PM from our company, someone from the sales department will get in touch with them, and we can start the process. It's pretty straightforward. Of course, we also have, yeah, like that's the main inbound funnel that we have. As I said, CoinTerminal.com. You can apply directly through there's a founders page. If you go to CoinTerminal and you go to businesses, you will find the founders page. That's the best page for founders to understand what we do. And then you have a button that will say raise capital or apply now. You click there and you will put the main, we will ask you for a couple of questions about your project, what you're doing, how much you're trying to raise. And then, as I said, someone from our company will get in touch. It's a 2-minute process. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Very informative, interesting to get an overview of this market as well. Thank you, Maximiliano.
Thank you. Thank you, Zorina.